So firstly, just how's this week been training wise?
Good up until today, and then the weather sort of created a bit of havoc for us because we'd set a session up and then we couldn't really do it because of the rain just kept coming and coming, so the pitch was a bit waterlogged, and we didn't really want to go on the sort of 4G because we've got quite a few lads that can't go on there with past injuries, etc. And with it being so close to Saturday, we didn't want to do that. But no excuses, it's fine. We've done probably a bit of the video analysis a little bit sooner and a bit more depth to make sure they understand what they're going to come up against in terms of good and bad. Obviously a lot of good in terms of quality of the opposition. But prior to that, all good. Said after last Saturday in terms of disappointment with the result, we're back in with a smile on the face because we can't change what happened in terms of that. And there were still positives to take from it, but ultimately we didn't get the result we wanted. But what a great game to look forward to, albeit a very difficult one, we know that. But I would imagine when the fixture list came out at the start of the season, this is one of the games that everyone will have been looking at.
Yeah, you've seen both sides of it now. You've had a week after a win and a week after a defeat.
Yeah.
How have they reacted to that?
They took on board what we asked, really, and I don't want anyone listening to this or watching thinking that we're happy with the defeat, because far from it. But I do believe that, like I said, we can't change what happened in terms of the scoreline. We can show some positives, we can look at some of the negatives from it as well, and you do that always, whether win, draw or lose. And ultimately we're still very new in terms of getting our messages across and getting to know the players. So the last thing I want is people walking about with their heads down, bottom lips on the floor, sulking, because I know one thing for certain, that won't get us anything on Saturday. So trying to be upbeat, but be real as well, in terms of, like I said, showing some things that weren't great, but also showing the positives and trying to take that and move forward, trying to get players to understand what we're asking from them more and more. And the more time that we get to spend with them, of course, that should get better. Doesn't always mean it's going to look right on a Saturday. There's nothing worse as a head coach or manager when you get to a Saturday and then after the game, people sort of question what you've been doing and think, do they actually do anything in the week, when you know that you have. But hopefully that won't be the case too many times.
Any fresh injury concerns?
No, all good. Which again is just only a small indicator, but I've certainly been in this enough times when after a defeat suddenly people do pick up niggles and maybe miss training for a couple of days. We've had none of that, so I'm pleased to report that. So realistically we've only got the two lads injured that we keep speaking about. Flano's continuing his work and progressing. George has been and done some testing. I think that in the main was good news, and he's on the right road to get back to full fitness. But obviously we know we're not going to be with him anytime soon.
Yeah, we spoke last week about the players that that you've had to leave out of the squad because obviously you only had so many. What have those players got to do in training and stuff to impress themselves on you and get themselves back into the squad?
I think a big thing straight away is show the right attitude. So back to I use the word sulking. I haven't seen that, and what I kind of made clear on Monday really to that group, because we kind of split a little bit in terms of the lads that had played the majority of the minutes and the ones that didn't start, was that I'm not impressed by sulking or people showing maybe their frustration in a negative way. Can have that as a parent enough times. I don't need to see it when I come to work. And the way to try and get in the team or in the squad is by working hard and showing the right attitude. We're really big on character and attitude, and of course there has to be an ability attached to that as well. But first and foremost, that's what I look for, and I've seen that. I've got no criticism today in terms of, I think I said about the applications being excellent, and we're still, really early days, but it has been good. and I hope that that can continue for every player, whether you played every minute or whether you've played no minutes.
So we know Tom blocks him, but on the positive side of that, it will give somebody else an opportunity to impress. What your thoughts about that, and if someone does come in, what they can do to
Yeah, I think Tom's done well in the couple of games. He nearly got himself a goal at Northampton and did well. And Saturday, I thought he was arguably kind of his biggest threat from a individual point of view. Got some good crosses in. There's lots that information we're trying to get to Tom in terms of how we want him to play that role, positions he can take up that will be better for him, but also better for his teammates at times. And obviously, he's kind of an unusual sort of profile, if you like, for a wide player. So we lose a bit of physicality with him coming out of the team. But at the same time, as you said, every time that sort of happens, it's an opportunity for someone else. And who I decide to go with, hopefully they can take that and perhaps give me a decision to make moving forward.
I just wondered if you'd seen the comments made by Liam Rossini on Brandon Fleming. I know you weren't obviously here for his majority of his time here, but if you had any thoughts on what Liam said.
Yeah, look, it's difficult because it's in print, or what I've seen, and I think sometimes that can come across a little different. Obviously, from my point of view, any negativity in terms of for our football club, I don't like to read, hear, see, whatever word you want to put on it, and I don't like it, as in I can only comment since I've been at the football club, and I know full well that I've had 2 conversations with people at Hull, well 3 actually, with 2 different people around that situation, and they understood my thoughts and my understanding of the situation. Now, whether that's been translated correctly at their end, I'm not sure. I didn't speak to Liam. That was never a conversation that we'd had. But one thing that I know has always happened at any time I've been in position, and 100% happened here the first time, is people are treated properly and correctly and looked after. So I'm not entirely sure what the sort of angst is against Brandon in this situation. But from my point of view, I can only say, certainly moving forward, that if there is any doubt around communication, I certainly hope that we can improve that. And from my point of view, like I said, I'd had 3 conversations around Brandon, so Hull knew my thoughts on that, and I can't, I'm sorry if that didn't get communicated, to Liam, because I think it was pretty clear from my point of view.
Looking ahead to Saturday, coming up against Derby, a Paul Warren side, someone that you know very well from your time playing. Yeah,
the staff, or certainly 4 lads in Paul, Richie Barker, Matt Amshaw and Andy Warrington. Andy was a goalie coach, a teammate. Matt I've played against a lot and been on courses with, and Richie and Paul were teammates. And at my previous job, we used to sometimes see each other at a lay-by before them travelling to Derby and me to Grimsby. And some days perhaps we felt about stepping into the traffic after a weekend's performance. But no, look, I get on with them fantastically well. I genuinely wish them well, obviously not on Saturday, but really good characters, and they're doing a good job. They're on a good run themselves, which doesn't make our job any easier, but obviously that friendship does go out the window when kick-off time comes, and we haven't exchanged any messages or calls this week, but looking forward to seeing them at the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.